An artificial intelligence that went rogue, drone swarms, and hit-and-run tactics. If it wasn't for regenerating shields, you would think this video about the third faction for Ashes of the Singularity II is a documentary instead of a sci-fi game. The setting and theme just hit so close to home at this point in time. So today I have for you not just a showcase of this wild faction called Substrate with totally amazing looking units, but also a new free-for-all focused map and lots of gameplay updates and changes. Octagon of Oblivion is such a fitting name for this new 8-player circular map, but I think it would have been even cooler, or maybe I should say hotter, if it was set up with a volcano in the middle and magma shooting up from it and falling randomly on the map and melting units and buildings. It would add some insane spectacle and randomness for free-for-all matches, so I hope devs are listening. When you start a match with the Substrate faction, you get an avatar unit which boosts base building speed by 50%, and it features a drone swarm that can both attack hostiles and repair friendly units. As it also has weapons, you can also use it to conquer some new territories. And territories have been changed considerably as building slots are history, and devs have instead introduced a system of regent power. So now the starting territory with the HQ has 300 power and others 200. Each new constructed building spends a few points from that power bar you can see at the bottom left, so now you can have far more buildings per each region, and this limit can be raised with an upgrade for a flat resource fee. The assembly is the first Substrate unit recruitment building, while the very first unit you have access to are the Hatchlings. This is a fast unit made up of half a dozen insect-like drones, each armed with rapid-fire guns and shields. These shields can usually take far more punishment than the unit's HP and are the Substrate faction's main tactical advantage. It is also what makes them the perfect hit-and-run faction, and why at later tech levels you can construct a building specifically designed to quickly recharge shields of units in its vicinity. The second unit recruitment building is the auxiliary assembly, and there you start with the Reaper unit. Its use is that of a tank, while its design is that of a hovering Beetle in keeping with the insectoid unit design. Its plasma cannon is best used against enemy vehicles, while its regenerating shields let you stay in the fight much longer, especially if some micro is used to rotate them in and out of enemy fire. Now, before I show you more Substrate units, let's take a look at the work in progress tech tree for this unusual faction. The Cultivation tech tree starts with the Resonance Extractor, which is the same as with other factions since it drops from the sky and boosts the resource income from a single region for a limited time. Efficient extractors boost only Durentium income. Regeneration Grid unlocks construction of a refinery to boost resource income in the region where you construct it. Accelerated Assembly reduces cost and build time of the first two unit recruitment buildings I talked about a minute ago. Quantum Archival is a flat quanta income boost, while Expanded Bandwidth doubles your logistics. Expanded Awareness boosts radar range of a number of defensive emplacements and the Substrate's type of a specialized radar building. Lastly, Amplifier Nodes allows the construction of an amplifier which serves the same function as a refinery, just with a higher resource extraction boost. I will show you the other tech trees later, because there are more units to showcase and gameplay changes to point out. Like for example, the rework of the UI, because units and buildings now have 3D portrait icons in both the build menu and army recruitment and selection menus. On top of that, keyboard shortcuts are now visible on these icons, but do keep in mind both of these features are still a work in progress. Maybe even more importantly, the strategic map icons have undergone a rework as well, and in my personal view they are far more easy to read and have mostly been simplified in their new form. I think this is a great change, and now I can finally quickly spot regions with 3 resource mines to drop a refinery and boost their extraction rate. But feel free to comment below what you think of this change. One more important addition is the auto-replenishment checkbox that has been added to the army banner list at the bottom of the screen, so now even if you forget to enable auto-replenishment for an army, you can easily spot your mistake here. Next Substrate unit I want to introduce you to is the Eradicator. This is a long-range anti-armor sniper hover crab-like unit with a massive plasma gun which can tear down both vehicles and buildings. It costs a lot of Elverite, which means you can only start to mass produce it mid-game, which is about the time you most need it anyway. Combined with the Reaper unit, it allows Substrate to take down all enemy armor assaults. The first unit-related orbital of the Substrate faction is the Swarm deployment from the beginning of the Inside Tech tree. Once used, it drops 2 squads of Hatchlings, and because of their speed, they are excellent backline harassment units. But do keep in mind, devs have changed the speed at which backline regions can be neutralized, so raiding has been made more difficult, specifically on regions that are quite a long way from the front line. Is this a good change? Could be, so I'm curious to read what you think in the comments. The rest of the tech in this tree are Swarm Incubation, which unlocks the Clutch of Eggs unit, Swarm Fury, which increases its damage as well as that of the Hatchlings unit. Prescient Targeting upgrades defensive turret weapon damage, while Accelerated Assembly reduces their build time and Durentium cost. Dropping Clutch of Eggs units from the sky is gained after unlocking Emergent Swarm tech, and damage for the Annihilator Cannon boosted by 50% with the Artillery Supremacy. Finally, at the bottom of this tech tree, we get the Eye of Darkness unit and its required recruitment building, Apex Replicator. No, I will not hold you in suspense, here is how it looks and what it does. It has 20,000 HP points, shields of its own, and a devastating plasma cannon fired from its center, where it also has several secondary such weapon ports. It is the ultimate siege platform, and it moves as slow as you would expect. I almost didn't manage to use this in this match, so constructing its Apex Replicator at the front line is a must. These HQ buildings have actually been improved by the devs, and they can now survive longer, meaning that you won't be able to do the same dive-in all-or-nothing attacks as before and snipe the enemy's HQ building to win a match. Aviary is the Substrate air unit recruitment building, and the air superiority craft of this faction are the Dominators, which seem to fire double homing missiles and are quite apt at taking out enemy air units. I am not quite impressed by how each of the 3 factions have almost the same design for air units, consisting of a single air superiority fighter, 1 gunship and 1 bomber. Their weapon types are not the same, but they function exactly the same. So my hope is that in the final version of the game we are going to see more asymmetry in this regard. The Rampager does the same job as its counterparts in the UAF and PHC, as it is an excellent anti-vehicle gunship, which has some staying power because of its shields. Large swarms can melt enemy armored units and even destroy buildings. This is why even if the devs want to limit the building of turrets, they still don't want to put too much of a limit, as you will need turrets across your territories, and so turrets right now cost only 5 power in a region. But for true base destruction and carpet bombing of large enemy armies, your best bet is the bomber, called the Punisher in this faction. Devs have changed the bomber mechanics, so their area of effect attacks look different than they used to in the demo, and as a consequence the bombing run mechanics should look more like what we as players would expect. You can tell me in the comments if you think they hit the mark with this rework. And so we arrive at the last tech tree called Resolve. Here Combat Protocols is the first to unlock and gives you the orbital Recon Investigation. Next is Hardened Constructs, which upgrades the health of the Clutch of Eggs and Hatchlings units. Eradication Doctrine unlocks the Drone Hive unit, while Overclocked Armaments gives a damage boost to Reapers, Explorers and Sky Cleaners. Sky Domination unlocks the mentioned Punisher Bomber and gives you an orbital to drop one of them on the battlefield. Plasma Eruption is a devastating area of effect attack, and Reinforced Chassis boosts HP of 5 different units. Last but not least, we have the Overmind Ascension tech, which unlocks both the Overmind Dreadnought and the Apex Replicator where you can recruit it. This unit has 10,000 HP and it is a home to a huge drone swarm, making it basically a massive hovering war factory that keeps producing these drones, and it is so well shielded it can survive a prolonged battle once it actually arrives there because of how slow moving it is. Its drones might be tiny, but no matter how many are destroyed, the Overmind just keeps building more. The next unit and its combat potential I need to show you is very aptly named the Destructor. It is the Substrate equivalent of an artillery unit, and while its plasma shells fly in almost slow motion, there is no denying their explosive potential against infantry and buildings. When their shells start exploding en masse, it's almost impossible to see what is being destroyed. But I don't mind the spectacle one bit. I have left one of the more disturbing looking units for the end, as the Clutch of Eggs looks like an angry red spider which shoots out plasma beams instead of silk webs. Their green globes on the back look ready to burst with baby spiders, and I'm getting chills down my spine, so let's change the subject. Kinda less creepy is the Drone Hive unit, which is basically a smaller version of the mentioned Overmind. Less shields and HP, fewer drones, and well suited for frontline duty to take out enemy ground targets or turrets while not putting itself into danger. At this point you kinda realize this faction might be sci-fi in this game, but it's almost the future of warfare in the real world. Here you can also see the Sky Cleaners in action, the hover unit with anti-air tracking missiles taking down UAF's gunships. One of the most important updates to the game the devs have talked about on Steam and in dev blogs is related to pathfinding. It has been significantly revised so that units don't clump up in confined spaces. This is especially problematic when large armies are on the move through difficult terrain that has canyons and ramps. Another thing that got improved for armies is how they properly engage enemy units attacking at its edges, form up with units at the front, and you are able to pause construction of additional units for them. Other factions had some updates as well, but I will cover those in more details in future videos. Your ideas and feedback left to the developers are not being wasted, and I myself keep seeing my own ideas being implemented in the new version of Ashes of the Singularity II. For more videos on this game and many others, check out the cards on the screen or links in the description. Thank you for watching and happy gaming!